Ivanka Trump is on her way to Tokyo to deliver a speech at the World Assembly for Women, a conference modeled off the prestigious economic summit that's held each year in Davos, Switerzland. Trump will spend 2 days in Japan at the Women's Empowerment Summit she is attending at the invitation of the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. She is set to leave before President Donald Trump and the U.S. delegation arrive, foregoing travel to China and South Korea next week alongside her father. The first daughter canceled meetings in both nations to spend the week plugging tax reform in the U.S. at the president's request. What Ivanka might do while she is in Japan, the official could not say, although it's possible that she could dine with Abe. Her father will golf with the Japanese PM on Sunday. He also has plans to call on Japan's imperial family. An official said Ivanka's focus would primarily be on the conference that World Bank Chief Executive Officer Kristalina Georgieva is also attending. Georgieva is the keynote speaker. Ivanka is scheduled to deliver remarks from the podium just before her on Friday. The White House has not said where it intends to deploy Ivanka, who has become a face of the administration's tax reform push, when she returns from overseas. She was in Pennsylvania pitching the child tax credit expansion and on Capitol Hill last week. Several senior U.S. officials are staying behind while Trump crisscrosses Asia to support congressional Republicans in their tax rollout. At the same time, Politico reported that Ivanka's husband Jared Kushner, also a White House senior advisor, will play a diminished role in the administration's China policy, and thus may also not stay on for the full duration of the trip. Behind the scenes, members of Trump's administration were telling the White House that Ivanka's presence in Beijing would be bad optics. Her Chinese clothing factories have attracted negative headlines, even though she is no longer involved in the day-to-day of her business. Ivanka and Jared accompanied the president on his 2 previous foreign trips, though they broke off to spend a date night in Rome in May before heading back to the United States. In Japan, Ivanka Trump will talk about women's participation in the economy and women's entrepreneurship, an official said. Ivanka shared a photo of herself with Arabella, Joseph, and Theodore just before she left the U.S. "I'm looking forward to visiting Japan, but sure will miss these 3. Ivanka wrote on Instagram at around 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. The photo, which appears to have been taken at bedtime the night before, shows Ivanka sitting in a large white bed surrounded by her children. Shortly after sharing the snap of her kids, she was pictured leaving her D.C. home to catch her flight. The first daughter celebrated her birthday on Monday and her 8-year anniversary last week. Ivanka, along with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and Economic Advisor Gary Cohn, will hold tax reform events in the U.S. next week, laying the groundwork with voters while the president is away. "So if I have any problems I will be blaming Mnuchin and Cohn. Believe me," the president joked during a cabinet meeting on Wednesday. "You'll be hearing from me. But I think they're going to be doing very well. We are doing very well." The GOP will yank down the curtain on a tax reform package tomorrow. A set of principles was released earlier this year, and the preliminary proposal came out in September. GOP lawmakers agreed on a 20% corporate tax, 3 brackets, a doubling of the standard deduction and an expanded child tax credit. The House is, I must tell you, they've been working very hard and they are coming up with a great plan, and the Senate's coming up with a great plan, and they're going to be put together and something good is going to come out of that. That will be really, really something very special, Trump said Wednesday. He said Vice President Mike Pence would also be pushing tax reform while he was away. "They're going to be all over the country, they'll be all over the country," he said.